This episode of The Edge is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek.fm at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode, join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type BABEL into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
Hi, this is Dr. Erin McDonald. I'm an astrophysicist and a science consultant for the Star Trek franchise, and you are listening to Trek FM.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of The Edge, Trek FM's dedicated podcast to Star Trek Discovery. I am but one of your co-hosts, Brandi Jackola, and joining me today are both the best guys that I work with who live in Australia, for sure. Liam Smart and Nick Collinson. Liam, how are you doing today?
I'm the best guy that lives in Australia?
No, the two of you are the best guys I've ever worked with who live in Australia.
Okay, how many guys have you worked with in Australia?
4 or 5.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
You're the best.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Before I start singing Simply the Best. Go for it, Brandi.
Now that's in my... Nope, not doing that,
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I bought bonsai trees to grow.
Oh, nice.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
Cool.
they're like those packaged bonsai trees, and they're like little jacaranda bonsai ones, so I'll probably not even be able to grow them. I'll kill them before they even start.
Aww.
But anyway, it's worth a try.
That's usually what I do to most plants. So I have a bamboo plant at work that I have managed to keep alive for 8 years, yay me. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was alive before I worked there. It actually had been there for several years before me, so thankfully I didn't kill it off. And also, yeah, Nick, how are you doing?
I'm also doing pretty well. Still working away at the thesis mines.
A Bug's Life.
Yeah. What did you say?
That came out years ago, mate.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. No, it's been good. I've finally got a better microphone, which is just wonderful, and it's going to be so much less work for Liam in the editing, and so I'm happy with that. So how are you, Brandi?
Well, we'll not discuss my troubles before we actually started this episode. Over and above that, I'm just a bit tired of people. No, just my job right now is just horrendous, and it's not going to get better for probably another month or two. And that's okay. It's all fine. But this is the last day that I have to use this steroid inhaler that I've been on for a month. And I swear it's what's making my voice sound weird and scratchy. So I am excited to have that go away after today, because there will be no more powder going into my lungs. Thumbs up.
Oh.
Is it a steroid one, did you say?
Yeah.
We should go and change different steroids and get like super buff and muscly. Like
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara.
Oh.
Listen, she's
I'm
making a very
sorry.
dreamy face now.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about Sammy Guevara.
Back in the room.
If you don't know who that is, folks, you should go and listen to Headcanon episode 5 and you'll find out. But we are not here to talk about Sammy Guevara.
Sadly.
Despite how much I would love to. So we
Me
do
too.
have, I know, right? We do have some news though. And
Do.
yeah, this news is leaked titles for season 3 episodes. I'm still not 100% sure that these have been confirmed.
I don't think they have.
Yeah,
no.
they haven't been
So,
confirmed, no.
yeah.
These are leaked from a supposed high quality source.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in this time of lack of news, we might as well consider it.
Yes.
Sometimes I wish there was a lack of news here. Sometimes I feel like there's just far too much news, and it's everybody just parroting everybody else, and none of them know what they're talking about. Anyway, shall we go through these episode titles, gentlemen?
Sure, go for it. Fire us away, Brandi.
Okay, so episode 1 is said to be called That Hope Is You, which actually sounds like something that came from the trailer. When
definitely,
when Michael is talking to the future president of the Federation, I guess, maybe?
That's what I assumed he is, yeah. 'Cause he's in that.
I mean, that could just suggest that the first episode is simply her with Book making its way to, the new Federation guy, if that's what this episode is going to be called.
Is quite possible. So, do we want to go over who it's possibly being directed by and written by, or should we?
Nah.
Nothing's been confirmed. So, I think if we do that, we're going to be here all day. So,
yeah.
Everything is directed by me, written by Brandi, and produced by Nick. Okay,
yeah,
there we
all
go.
of those
We're
things.
done.
All of those things, because nothing's been confirmed, so we can totally say that.
Yep.
All right. So we have just 7 titles so far, if indeed these are correct. So episode 2, Forget Me Not.
I reckon that will be someone giving flowers to someone.
Lovely.
Yep.
No, not those things. I don't know to what exactly that might refer, but it is possible that Michael might be going through archives or something like that. And
that would be interesting.
Could possibly be something of that. I don't know. That's just the first thing that came to my brain. But, yeah. So episode 3, Scavengers. Ooh.
See, this one could be cool. This could be linking into what those trailer images of the Cardassian and the Lurian and the Andorians with the guns running towards you.
That could be that.
Yeah.
Which is good. And I'm really excited to see a Lurian.
Yeah.
Right? To see someone besides Morn?
Will he actually talk?
Yeah. Or maybe they don't speak at all.
Well, Lorne was apparently quite the chatterbox.
Yeah.
He just never happened to be talking when we saw him.
Yeah, it's like, when you get him started on this, he just won't shut up. I've heard Quark say stuff before, and I'm just like, wait, what? So
I started watching Deep Space Nine again because I'm making Jordan watch it now, and he keeps seeing Morn in the background, and I'm like, yep, we're going to get one of his species on Discovery.
At least
Jordan's
one.
like, he's got so much neck.
Yes.
So-
It's just there's no jaw there. It's just goes directly into neck.
He's just all neck. Oh, what are we up to? Oh, yeah, Scavengers.
We're up to, we're in the middle of the 7 now. Unification 3.
If this is actually what it's called, I'm interested to see what this is, because a lot of people are saying that it's going to be sort of somewhat of a continuation of the Unification 1 and 2 two-parter from Next Generation, which...
Do we really need that?
I don't know.
Nope.
It's like, is this basically going to be showing what's happened between the Vulcans and the Romulans in the intervening sort of 900 years?
Well, something is bound to have happened.
Yeah. I feel like this is the title I'm most skeptical of, though.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw that, I just thought, oh, please, no, let's not make a Next Generation connection like that. But then again, it did involve Spock, so that would make sense. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I mean, it's possible that Burnham could go back and looking at what Spock has done.
Yeah.
Because Spock's done some pretty amazing things.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could be part of it, and you never know. I suppose the Vulcans and the Romulans could be unified come 3000 and whatever.
Or it could be the attempt to reunify the Federation of Planets. Maybe. I don't know.
Imagine if Romulus could be one of the main proponents of doing that.
That would be amazing. Interesting. So, and then we apparently are going to have a 2-parter. Episode 5, Terra Firma Part 1. Try and say that fast. And
Terra Firma Part 1?
Yes, shut up. And episode 6, Terra Firma Part 2. Have no idea what that could possibly be referring to.
Terra firma is just Latin for Earth, isn't it?
Yeah, solid ground.
Solid ground. And then episode 7, The Sanctuary. Does that mean New Eden?
Yeah, maybe that's when they get back together.
Oh, I hope they're back together before episode 7.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. But I'm sure even if they're not together, we'll still see what's going on with the Discovery crew as well as what's going on with Michael.
Definitely.
But I just want them all to reunite and be happy together.
Want to get the band back together.
But that would be cool if they get back to Terra Elysium.
Yeah.
The band back together.
Get the band together. Gotta get the lead singer back, y'all. Anyway.
Who would be the lead singer in Discovery?
Stamets.
Ugh.
I mean, yeah, he does have
Stamets
a
or
good
Really?
Culber, because they are the 2 Broadway stars.
Yeah.
I'd put Culber. Stamets can be production, like off the stage.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You're so biased.
I'm sorry. I don't. Oh, I like Anthony Rapp. I don't like Stamets. I just don't.
Okay.
So and then it makes this episode's topic even more hard because he is a main thing.
Yeah, but it makes sense as to why he's a main thing.
It does make sense at least. Well, does it?
It does. It does. In the context of what has happened up to this point, it does make sense. So.
Fine.
Okay. So anyway, those are our 7 leaked, quote unquote, Discovery titles, which may or may not be correct.
It'll probably turn out to be something completely different. But hey,
It could possibly be.
we've entertained people for 6 or 7 minutes with it.
Yeah. It's all good. Let's move on.
Okay.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about magic to make the sanest blah, blah, blah.
Magic to make this blah.
Magic to make the
Depends how I
sanest
feel about
man go mad, which is a line from the Iliad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Because I know
That's-
things.
Oracle of knowledge.
I read the Iliad once.
Yeah.
It is not easy to get through.
I bet.
Can't imagine it would be. At
Yeah.
all.
You get to about a third of the way in and you're just like, why should I care? I mean, when you condense it down, when you distill it down to its actual story points, it's a lot more interesting. But getting through to the actual story points can be a little muddled, I guess is the best word.
Like this episode.
A little bit. And, well, if you don't like tangents, then that's just too bad because I am the queen of tangents. Thank you very much. All right, so let's start with our initial thoughts. Who wants to lead with this?
Liam, do
Nick
you
made
want to
a
go into
sound.
this one?
Okay. I get the feeling that both of you have something negative to say.
Me?
Potentially.
I did not mean to infer that I was going to be either negative or positive, so.
Oh, okay, cool. Whoa, it's a mystery. So when I first watched this episode in first run, I enjoyed it because it was just sort of different. Then more times that I've watched it, I just got slightly more annoyed with it. But on the face of it, though, it's just a simple episode that they've probably just thought, we're spending too much money, let's make a bottle episode. And then that's what they've made.
And that actually, apparently was the case, that they needed to cut production costs, according to one of the people involved in the production.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, I think pretty similar actually. Like I think when I first saw it, I thought it was okay. It's kind of fun, I guess, except for the fact that everyone dies horribly, over and over again. I don't know. I'm definitely not a big fan of this episode, and I think even on my initial viewing, I was just like, that was weird. How is Harry Mudd some kind of criminal mastermind? How is Starfleet security that bad that he can just sneak on board inside a space whale? Yeah.
What about you, Brandi?
Well, I have. I wouldn't say I love the episode, but I wouldn't say I hate it. There are many aspects of the episode that I really enjoy. I am not a huge fan of time loop episodes because they have been done so much. In fact, that's been done in an entire movie. Of course, we all are referencing Groundhog Day. But I love Rainn Wilson's performance as Harry Mudd. I do. But I don't like the character of Harry Mudd, and that is not the fault of any performance at all.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't like it when annoying know-it-alls just keep winning and winning and winning. And so he's the kind of person that you just want to see fail.
Yeah.
Which is why the ending is fantastic.
I have thoughts on the ending.
So I do appreciate especially just the moments between Burnham and Tyler. I appreciate Tilly a lot in this episode, although I could have done with a lot more of her, but I can always do with more Tilly. But, cause when she actually gets to wear her hair down, it is so glorious. I just want to see that always. And I'm just looking at her and going, oh, you are a goddess. And,
you just want to touch it, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I just want to, just pet it a little bit and just like tuck it behind her ear. And I just really adore her hair.
Glorious color as well.
Oh yeah. And that is all natural. All of it from top to bottom. So the color's natural. The curl is natural. It's absolutely glorious hair. But hair like that is also really not easy to take care of because yeah. And if anyone is wondering what it's like to brush out natural curl, you don't want to see that ever. It's horrifying because unlike curl achieved by hot rollers or curling irons, when you brush out natural curl, it just becomes a big puffy strand of frizz. That's all it is.
A puffy strand of frizz.
It is. But I love Tilly just like hurting them together, Tyler and Burnham. And I do actually appreciate everyone's performances in this episode. So I have aspects of it that I like and I have aspects of it that I don't like. But overall, I would say that I like the episode, even though I don't generally care for time loop things. It was interesting the way in which they did it to me. So
it's not like a Vegemite episode in that you love it or hate it. It's just an episode that's there, pretty much.
A Vegemite episode.
I've never had Vegemite, but I have had Marmite, so.
It's the same disgusting thing.
I happen to like it, so.
Nope. Nope. I
like Marmite more than Vegemite. I guess I'm not a proper Australian.
It just tastes like licking the ground over and over again until your tongue bleeds. It's just gross.
So, okay, well, now we know what we think of the episode initially. What about your favorite moments? And I'm going to start with you, Nick.
Oh, okay.
What was your best moment that came from this episode?
The ending? The ending?
The fact that it ended? No, I think for me, I honestly do like the stuff that happens in the party scene, especially at the start. Like the idea that Michael is really out of her depth, but it's just it sets it up as being kind of fun, and I really did appreciate having that like fun look into like the crew's just like personal life. And just them sort of trying to let their hair down. And yeah, I agree, Brandi, Tilly is glorious, especially in that scene. And I also like the introduction of the Gormagander. I love a space whale for some reason. I don't know why. I just think it was cool. And like the fact that they have a Starfleet Endangered Species Act to take this Gormagander to a colony, to like a sanctuary world. Even though they're like pandas and just like won't mate.
They're too busy eating.
Yeah. I have a phrase I could use, but we can't use it in the podcast.
You would think that whales would be smarter than that because they tend to be among the smarter mammals.
Yeah, but no, these ones
ocean.
just... I did like the way that Saru, or someone describes it, they just hang out like in orbit of stars, feeding on alpha particles.
That's Burnham who says that.
Yeah, right. She says they hang out around stars, feeding on alpha particles, and just like, I don't know if like they have no desire or they just never get around to finding a mate. And then Lorca is just like, well, that's the most damn depressing thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
they're so consumed by eating. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
They're so consumed by eating
that it takes precedence over all other things, even to their detriment of keeping their species alive. Way to go, space whales! Way to go.
See, that leads on to what my favourite point of the episode is, and that is all the little lines that Lorca does about the space whale.
Yeah.
The fact that he says, well, that's a depressing a trait as I've ever heard, is one of my favourite lines of the episode, as well as, I don't give a damn, I just want it done. After Burnham says,
she wants
as
to
a
take
science
one.
specialist, I'm the most qualified to handle the needs of this creature. I just don't care. And then Tyler's like, oh, I wanted to have security oversight. And it's like, I still don't give a damn. Like,
Let's do it.
So those little quips and some of the things that Rainn Wilson puts out as Harry Mudd, they're my favourite parts of this episode.
Rainn Wilson's performance as Harry Mudd is great. He plays a character well, and by doing that, he creates a character that I just hate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the point, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the original Harry Mudd was still a schemer and a con man, but you never got the idea that he was very smart. But Rainn Wilson's Harry Mudd is smart.
Apparently he's a criminal mastermind.
That's terrifying. Because how does he get onto the ship? He's like, oh, I need to be in this whale so that they will take it on board. And he like plans all these things step by step. And granted, I don't know how many times that loop repeated. So he may have tried other things before the
56.
Gormagander. Well, no. He just says that he's killed Lorca 56 times. That doesn't mean that there's only been 56 loops. Because if he started out trying to find a way onto Discovery, it may not have begun with the Gormagander. He may have tried some other way of getting on the ship and he kept failing. And so he kept going back and trying something different till he found the thing that worked. And then the next stage, he tried that over and over again until he found the thing that worked. He could have been doing this 1,000 times for all we know.
Oh my god, that would be awful. Also, do you reckon he drives the space whale? Like he's got like, sits on the side, he's like, no, space whale, we're going left.
Poor space whale.
I don't know. He may have lured it with alpha particles. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, that loop could have gone on forever and ever.
Yeah. I like to think of it. I came up with this last night after watching it and I just thought it's basically like he's playing a really hard video game. Like he's playing Dark Souls and you like throw yourself at the next boss and you keep getting killed and, until eventually you figure out the way to do it after like 1,000 tries, 1,000 respawns.
Yep. There comes a point in many video games, usually first-person shooters or action games, where you've been getting through it, maybe something you had to try a couple of times, and then you get to kind of this midpoint of the game, and you die over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and then an hour later you're like, I am not having fun anymore.
Yep.
That's why I've never finished the Doom remake. That's why I've never finished The Last of Us, which is an amazing game, but I got to a part that I could not pass. And after 2 hours, I just stopped because I was more angry than anything else. And, it drives me nuts. Stop doing that, video game makers. Stop it. Stop it.
I have that same issue with one of the games that I've been playing, Uncharted.
Oh, yeah. I've had that problem with Uncharted.
The second one, and it's just like that train, and you got to go on that train, and I'm like, I just don't care anymore. Stop hitting me with these bloody signs. It's like, I don't care. Just get past this level.
I've been through that a couple of times in the new Tomb Raider games, but not to the extent where it took me an hour to pass that level. So,
drives me mad. But The Last of Us I managed to do all right. I think that's just because I wanted to see where the story was going.
I know, I want to see where the story's going too.
Although I feel like I had a heart attack halfway through that game because I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a great game. I'm going to have to go back and restart it because I can't remember how to play it, and every game is different. Oh, anyway, we didn't get to my best moment.
Oh yeah, what is your best moment, my dear?
It's hard for me to choose because there are
I know what it is.
Do you?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's talking to me and Nick right now about it.
Oh.
Oh, how sweet.
Oh, that's so cute. But it's not my favorite moment of the actual episode. It's just my favorite moment involved with the episode. So you at
so
least
much
have
love
that.
here on the edge.
It is so much for getting mushy. Probably one of my most favorite moments. I'm just going to go with this one because there are a couple others I could choose, but this is the one that really I just keep coming back to is when Burnham first gets to the party and Tilly's playing what seems like beer pong. I'm not really sure.
Oh, yeah.
But, and Reese tries to kiss her and she just kind of ducks away. And then she comes and talks to Burnham and she's like, I used to be in a soldier's, but now I'm in more of a musician phase. And then Tyler has his big speech and she's like, my soldier thing is back.
Yeah.
Cause she was really good at being tipsy, but not over the top drunk.
Yeah.
Which was just perfect. So, and then when Tyler shows up, she's just like, bye. He's like, what's up, Tilly? He's like, I'm leaving. Bye. So subtle. Yeah, I just
so
really
it was a
enjoyed
sledgehammer.
that.
Yeah,
I just enjoy that.
Me too. I love that scene.
All right, so let's go through this episode, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with Burnham's log, and she is talking about how she's sort of fallen into a pattern on Discovery, and that she's even made a friend. And it's nice to know at that point that she does think of Tilly as a friend and not a nuisance. And I love the way that their relationship develops even more in season 2, and they just become like really steadfast friends. So I appreciate that. And how she enjoys the company of some crew members more than others.
I mean, I'd enjoy his company more than some others as well. But
Yeah. Can't blame you there. I've never met Shazad Latif, but he seems like a really fantastic human, and I just enjoy him as Ash Tyler. And by this episode, I was already convinced that Ash was Vogue, and so I was like rooting for him and Burnham, and at the same time going, this is all gonna go horribly wrong. But yeah, so she, and then she talks at the end of her log about, the biggest challenge she's facing so far, and that's going to a party. Because let's think about how this girl was raised from the age of 10. There were not parties on Vulcan. Not even.
There's probably like logic parties instead of like a LAN party. It's a logic party.
No.
Oh my
Logic
God.
Rave.
It's just going to be everyone sitting around together, like solving like philosophical logic problems and stuff.
Rubik's cubes.
Actually, Ethan Peck has a Star Trek t-shirt that says Logic Party on it.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yes, he does. He does indeed. So you can take that in one of two ways. Logic party as in, we're having a party and doing it logically, or, like a political party. We're the logic party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then we get our party scenes. Now, according to what I've read, the party scenes alone took 4 days to film.
Yeah. Imagine being drunk for 4 days.
None of them were actually drunk.
No. Can I just point something out with Burnham's monologue before we go on to the party thing?
Oh, of course.
I kind of feel like it's a good way to sort of summarize where she's at halfway through the season, in that she's but the ship. It sort of just shows where everything's at in Discovery come episode whatever number this was.
Yeah.
But the thing that struck me the most is for her to say, I wish sorely to step out of my comfort zone, but I just don't know how. Because just how many times do you feel like that in your own life?
God, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see something, you want to do it, and you're just like, I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know how to get myself involved in this, or I don't know how to feel about this.
Being an introvert, I feel that really hard.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I would like to get to know that person, but then I have to be social.
It's like, ooh, do I join that? Have you done one of those like 4-letter thingies that tell you what like personality subtype you are?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Myers-Briggs test.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you get?
What did I get?
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an INFJ.
INF. The F makes sense.
But
I think I'm INFP.
I was ISTJ.
I only know that I think the name for my one was like the teacher or something like that.
I was a logistician.
yeah, I don't remember what mine is called, but you might as well just call it everything turned up to 11. So
Yeah.
The feeling queen.
yeah, input turned up to 11.
But yeah. So I thought that was probably the best bit about the monologue. When it first started, and I remember thinking this at the very first time I watched Magic to Make the Blah Blah Blah, I was like, oh no, not a boring monologue. And then it got to that little part, and I thought, yeah, wow, that was, I thought, a powerful little scene.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's in a very different place because, we've had season 2 and she, at the end of season 1, reclaims her commission. Well, it's given back to her and she becomes a full-fledged member of Starfleet again. So she has different challenges in season 2. And having seen that, that's fresh in our minds. And so it's interesting to go back to season 1 and go, oh yeah, she still thinks she's going to prison at the end of this. So yeah, it's, yeah. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, okay. Party.
Now back to the party.
Party! And playing, old music, like apparently, serious oldies.
Classical.
Yeah. Well, yeah, technically it would be because classical, what does classical mean really, except for really, really old?
I think classical actually refers to a specific style or a specific period, because you have composers now like Max Richter, Ludovico Einaudi, who make music that is considered neoclassical. So they are composing music in that same sort of style that we would call classical, but they're doing it now.
Yeah.
So
classical, I would say it's its own subtype now.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if like 300 years from now people would look back on like, modern day rock and roll and stuff or pop and be like, oh, classical music.
Maybe just call it classic music?
Probably, yeah.
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 Which just means, or oldies. I hate that word. The oldies.
When I was younger, I used to find bands and I'd be like, look up their MySpace and be like, oh, you're attractive, I'll listen to you.
Wow, yeah, looking up bands on MySpace.
Yeah, wow. Past. Did we do a left turn or what? Sorry, Liam, you're going to have to cut all of this out.
I don't even know where we were with the party.
We were talking
about
the party. We were talking about them listening to like music from now.
Yes.
And it was like, they probably call it classical music.
Yes.
Oh, God, yeah. I thought it was cool they used Staying Alive.
I mean, that one really worked with the theme of the episode.
It did. Otherwise, it's almost on the nose, but the whole episode is sort of on the nose. So,
yeah.
In a way.
Yep.
Some other things I wanted to note about the party is 2 things. 1, heaps of tipsy people. What would happen if, like a Klingon ship sort of jumped out in front of them? They're tipsy. They can't fight. And 2, kissing work colleagues. They're work colleagues. Like that could be awkward.
If you're the same rank, who cares?
Yeah, but what if you went in like you accidentally boned a cadet or something, and you're a lieutenant commander? It's like, oh, whoops, there's an abuse of power.
I'm pretty sure that because the future is supposed to be better than we are, that really doesn't happen. Because people can control their impulses better than we plebes can.
Yeah, no, that is true. I'll take that.
I also think like this, it did have that strong feeling of like all of this like pent up like what am I trying to say? Like
sexual frustration, is that what you're trying to say?
Not quite. But like they're at war, so they're kind of like anxious and scared all the time.
Mm-hmm. They're like Saru all the time.
Yeah. So suddenly they have this opportunity to like just push all that out of their mind and not think about it. And it's like, I feel like when you've got a lot of people in that sort of situation, it makes perfect sense to me that they're going to like want to like have a party and hook up and just like feel alive.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. They want to feel alive.
All right.
They want to celebrate being alive while they can. Because tomorrow they could be dead.
Yep.
155 times.
Mm-hmm. Or more.
No, potentially, yeah.
So our party is still going on, but Burnham and Tyler get called to the bridge, and Tyler notes that Burnham is not good at small talk.
Boy, is she not good at small talk.
But this is when we have our first encounter with Stamets, and Burnham literally runs into him and knocks what he's carrying onto the ground, and things scatter. I couldn't even really tell what he was carrying. And, we all know what Stamets has been like up to this point. So even we as an audience are bracing for, he is going to let her have it. And she apologizes, and he's just like, what are you sorry for? This is just a random thing. And he hugs her, and everybody is just like, what is
it's weird
happening?
Especially watching this episode now, in the time of social distancing. Mm-hmm. And his exact line is, why would you apologize for a random act of physical interaction?
Yep.
It's like, you gave me the COVID.
Yeah. No.
Like, oh my God. I'm thinking of that in a different context now.
Yeah. It's weird how that works. Of course, I'm not one that's big on parties. I'm not a party person because I'm the awkward Michael Burnham sitting in the corner who doesn't know how to interact with people who have social lives. So I feel her in this episode very much.
Brandi Burnham. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, our space whale is coming on the scene now. So they get to the bridge and it's yellow alert. It's a space whale. Burnham identifies it and explains that it's on the endangered species list and that they need to transport it to a sanctuary. And so Lorca's like, fine, just whatever. So,
I mean, it's one of these points now that you sort of kind of think that looking back on it, knowing we know he's from the Mirror Universe, they would not have had that kind of regulation in the Mirror Universe.
Yeah.
True.
So you
Absolutely
can sort of, one of those little peppered things where it's like, yeah, he's not what he seems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's also that weird little bit where he's like, weren't they hunted to extinction? And it's like, oh, well, maybe they were in his universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, that actually didn't occur to me the first time that I watched it. So, but yeah, knowing what we know about Lorca now, it's interesting to watch again and see these little signals that we'd been given that maybe we didn't pay enough attention to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, actually about at this point, I was pretty sure that Lorca was from the Mirror Universe too. So they kind of telegraphed a few things about season 1. So there weren't actually a lot of surprises for me, but that's beside the point.
Talking about talking about the Gormagander, I know this scene comes a little bit later on one of the many scenes we get of them explaining, we got to save this space whale thing. I really like how Lorca goes, is the fish safely on board yet?
Well, technically it's not a fish, sir.
And he just looks at Saru like, seriously? I do not care.
Don't care. He does not care.
So that was one of the highlights for me as well.
The thing is that the first time I watched it, me at home, I'm going, but it's not a fish, it's a whale. Whales are mammals. And then Saru starts like, yay, Saru.
Yeah.
Then let's get on to Harry Mudd's first appearance that we get to see, which doesn't seem like it's the first actual loop that he's been through. So, but he comes out in this outfit and has this very Andorian looking helmet going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is also, it seemed like anime, very anime as well. So it was like an anime version of an Andorian helmet.
Yeah.
So, and just starts killing people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't quite get the point of why an Andorian mask was used.
Because they could.
Yeah, I think it's probably just because they could.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
just
were they
referencing
trying to
Andorians.
mislead us and for like an extra 20 seconds or something that it could be an Andorian?
Maybe he just really likes that helmet. Because it's got the antenna and it's got, those cool blue eye lights. And from what I hear, the actual helmet was extremely uncomfortable and Rainn Wilson did not care. He thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the face of it, it's very cool. I just didn't see the point of it in the episode other than to just mislead for a little bit longer. But
yeah, well, and it could be, again, that this was not his first time through the loop, and maybe he had kept it on longer in other loops. Who knows? It was just blue and glowy, and it was like, oh, what is this? This is an alien we haven't seen before. But that looks like an Andorian.
It's Harry Mudd.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say that had I not already known this was going to be the return of Harry Mudd, that when he took off the helmet, I would have just been, ugh!
Yeah.
Again, nothing against Rainn Wilson's performance, but I am not a Harry Mudd fan. Never have
I don't
been.
think many people are Harry Mudd fans, though.
Yeah, he's a despicable person. Like, really despicable.
Well, really, yeah.
Really.
I mean, I'm not going to say I've watched the TOS episodes with him in, because I just can't do TOS, sadly, but
they're not good.
Even in this, he's despicable.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to know something funny? It's not canon, but in the Discovery comics that covered what was going on in the Mirror Universe after they left, and Harry Mudd was basically a medic, and he was a really good
for the
dude.
Resistance.
Mirror Mudd.
Yeah,
Mirror Mudd.
Mirror Mudd was like a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a scene where he's like bandaging like a broken antenna on like an Andorian child.
Yep. So go figure, Mirror Universe. So, okay. So what did we think, guys, when we realized this was a jumpy time episode?
I think my immediate response was, oh, they're trying to do cause and effect. That's brave.
Yeah. I thought, oh God, another time loop.
Yeah.
That was really what I thought. Because honestly, okay, so there's this sort of electronic group called Orbital that they do a lot of sample work, and they have this one song that has Worf saying, "There is the theory of the Mobius." And that whole little speech, and then it ends with, when time becomes a loop, when time becomes a loop, when time becomes a loop. And that just becomes part of the song. So every time I think of jumpy, timey episodes, I also think of that Orbital song.
Fair enough.
I'm going to have to look that up.
But, yeah.
For me, I remember it very clearly, sitting in the lounge watching it with Jordan. And my reaction was, oh, cool. And I mean, let's face it, I love seeing hero ships explode. So when I saw the Discovery explode, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a time thing. Everything's going to be okay. And of course, it was a time thing. And I enjoy episodes that have temporal issues. So relativity, Year of Hell, cause and effect, futures, no, not necessarily Futures End, I guess. But all those episodes that have something go wrong time-wise. Whereas on the flip side, Jordan looked at me and he goes, because he hates them. He hates time episodes. So I was sitting here going, yeah, this is a really good episode because you know what, recency bias, etc., is also definitely a thing. And then he's like, I can't even be bothered watching this, and he walked off.
Well, I don't mind time jump episodes, but time loop episodes, I feel like they've been done a little too much.
Yeah.
Or time loop episodes are just those things in any form of sci-fi that's a trope, really.
Because Stargate SG-1 did a great time loop episode as well.
Agreed.
And a lot of that is taken up with Teal'c and O'Neill just kind of messing around because they're like, well, you know, time's just going to reset. There's nothing we can do about it. Might as well just play golf into the Stargate.
That's true. This one, the thing is, usually when there is a time loop episode, there's one person who knows what's going on, and then has to convince everyone else what's going on. And I actually hate that. And I don't mean that in a time jump episode or a time loop episode per se, but I hate thrillers and movies and television shows that will do something where it's this one person knows the truth and we know they know the truth. We've seen it with them and nobody believes them. And then it's just an exercise in frustration.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts. To be fair, there wasn't a ton of repetitiveness in this. Like when we see the first loop, when we get to what we think is the second loop, we find out it's really not the second loop because Stamets has figured out what's going on. And he said that this has been happening over and over again. So how many loops are between the first one that we see and what we thought was the second one? But the interesting thing is that Stamets is smart enough to figure out a way to make people believe him, make Burnham believe him specifically, and Burnham gets everybody else on board every single time. And like Harry, they're getting better at what they need to do every single time, and they don't have the benefit of remembering, except for Stamets. So I can imagine how frustrated he must have been. It must have been just like, oh, not again.
When you say that it's not repetitive, I mean, it's better than it could have been, but they could have probably done it a little bit better, maybe. The problem I find with when you repeat scenes is I'll sit there and be like, oh, they acted it slightly differently. And it sort of just annoys me a little bit in that case. Like you hear the same piece of dialogue, but they've got a slight different inflection in some of the words or different facial expression. And it's like, well, it's likely to have something different like that, but I just sort of pick up on the acting then more than the actual story.
I do love the part when basically Stamets is trying to explain to Burnham that he understands what's going on and get her help, and she thinks he needs to go to sickbay. And she starts saying things, and he starts saying the exact same things that she's saying while she's saying them.
That was funny.
I really enjoyed that. And then she, once he'd done that, he's like, yeah, I know, come on. So, after that, she's on board. But he narrows it down like a scientist. He hones it and gets better and better and better at it. So then during the final loop, he's just got it down to an exact science, basically. He knows exactly what to say, in the shortest amount of time possible to get this going. So, yeah. But again, how many loops happened before they were able to finally make him end the loop?
Do you know one thing that bugged me? Mud needed to end the loop himself, didn't he?
He needed to let it expire. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to end the loop and then go back to the beginning of the loop to redo it, did he need to do something on his arm?
Yes.
So then when he got shot in engineering by Stamets, how did he restart that loop?
Yeah.
Well,
because I struggled. I looked at that and I'm like, but he needs to touch something on his arm, I'm assuming, to activate the time crystal, which, hello, time crystals.
Yeah.
You know what? I think maybe it has nothing to do with actually activating something on what's on his wrist.
Like on a panel or something, yeah.
It had to do more with the amount of time. He had set this particular time window and it was 30 minutes. And so at the end of that 30 minutes, if the ship hadn't blown up, that time loop would expire if he didn't, reset it himself from his little wrist thingy. But I think the thing is that the ship was already going to explode when he had been shot by Sanest. So that ended the loop without it expiring, and so the loop reset. Okay. So I think he's got fail-safes for everything. At least it seems like it. And I hate people like that just have an answer for everything, which is why I feel like it's so satisfying when they screw him over.
Oh, yeah.
So satisfying. So there are a couple of things that we haven't talked about yet before getting to the end. So Michael's never been in love, which actually makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
Because where has she been? She was on Vulcan from the time she was 10 until she was an adult. She went pretty much straight from there to the Shinzo. Didn't have any relationships there. And now she was in prison. Now she's on Discovery. When did she have time to fall in love? Where were she didn't have any prospects, really.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I just don't see why you would tell someone that secret. Tell me a secret about you. Oh, I've never been in love. Like, what? Why is that the first thing that comes to your head? Or unless I suppose it's the frame of mind that she's in at the particular time. I
think that's part of it, yeah.
That's probably it.
Because I guess she clearly likes Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if somebody is basically pressing you and they're like, the clock is ticking, tell me a secret that only you would know. What else could she tell him that only she would know?
She could have a mole somewhere.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that like a medical expert doesn't know that or something. Former doctor would probably know that.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like, Hugh could have told you I've got a mole on my upper thigh.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, what else could she have used?
It was the thing. It's something she has never shared with anyone else.
Yeah, there probably could be other things, but I suppose, as I said, in the frame of mind that she was in, I'll let it go.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I felt sad for her because I just thought, wait, you've got to be like in your late 20s, early 30s here, and you've never been in love. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I remembered her life so far. So that made more sense to me. So yeah, I love the little stuff blossoming between Ash and Burnham, even though it hurts me to see it at the same time, especially
it's going to be so doomed.
Context. I'm just like, no, yes, no, yes, no.
See, most of it to me in this episode was I enjoyed learning more about Stamets and Culber than I did seeing Tyler and Burnham.
Yeah, that was nice.
And the fact that we get to hear the Caecilian opera reference for the first time, and then it's sort of being held through into season 2 with the music in the background, and then even on Star Trek Picard as well with Alison Pill's character listening to it.
Yes. Yes.
So it's sort of one of those like super cool canon references that move forward.
Yeah. That was nice.
Well, the sad thing is that now when I look at that scene with Girardi listening to Caecilian opera, I'm sitting there thinking, you're listening to a dead woman.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Weird.
When she hits that final high note,
slits her throat.
She plunges a dagger into her chest. Like,
that's right, not the throat thing, yeah.
Yeah. And just like, so you're listening to the music of a dead person.
Do you reckon they get to the end of the opera and she's like got that really high note and then all of a sudden you go like, or not?
Oh, I'm sure that they cut that out of the recording.
But then how does it end the song?
Well, the high note is the end of the song. After she has finished hitting that high note, it's over.
Oh,
and that's
she
when
probably wouldn't do
herself.
It through the high note. Because I was thinking it's like, the high note. Oh,
No,
okay.
doing that would ruin the high note.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I actually thought was happening.
No, he says after she hits that final high note.
Yeah.
After she plunges a dagger into her chest.
I'd completely forgotten that they'd introduced that detail of it.
Can you imagine, though?
Weird.
Can you imagine if, like, the Doctor on Voyager did a holographic recreation of Caecilian opera, and then he starts doing that, and he's like, I have to do what? And he tries to sing it.
I don't know if it can be sung in the same way by a man.
I mean, you can easily alter the Doctor's subroutines to have a voice as high pitched as that.
Yeah, but if you're not actually Caecilian, then it's not the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, true.
So you wouldn't have to plunge a dagger into your chest.
But it's cool that they say that, like, love isn't illogical in this. Love isn't logical.
That is true. Love follows its own rules.
Hence, there'll be no touching at a logic party.
Exactly. They've got social distancing down to a science.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's terrible. So yeah, I do appreciate having that little insight into Hugh and Culber, Stamets and Culber. And we get a little bit more of that in season 2 when they find Culber in the mycelial network, and Stamets is trying to prove that he's really who he is. And he talks about them going to this museum, and you're walking so fast because you were just so excited to show me everything.
I find Caecilian opera kind of haunting. If you play it really quietly.
That is a good way to describe it. Okay, so let's wrap up this episode. The gang figures out how to defeat Harcourt Fenton Mudd by using non-essential systems against him,
including the captain's chair, which I'm like, why is that not an essential system?
Well, I think that if he could control everything from the captain's chair, then what's the point of having a crew?
The captain's chair can work from home.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, I'm just picturing a captain's chair in my living room now.
We all want a captain's chair in our living room.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, it was a very logical way to go about it, because they had, Stamets had watched him do this however many times, possibly hundreds, and figured out logically what was the best way to get around what he was doing. It was a pretty smart resolution. And I loved the reveal at the end. Like they were all detectives catching the criminal. So
if it wasn't for those meddling kids, it was like Scooby-Doo Star Trek.
He's such a Scooby-Doo villain.
Yes.
Oh, he's more frightening than a Scooby-Doo villain because he's a killer.
Yeah, yeah, and he's just like the way he monologues and stuff. I think I wrote down that and this is a comment I heard about something a while ago. I've forgotten the context, but the phrase came into my mind that he's a faux intellectual who swallowed a thesaurus.
Truth. So yeah, I do love that they defeated him in the way that they did, and did the worst possible thing they could have done to him by giving him back to Stella.
Oh,
my sweet Stella.
I kind of take issue with that a little bit. Just
why?
Like the way it finished, because it's like, for me, I feel like the tone of this episode is all over the place, because it's like he came in there and with legitimate intent to, potentially murder all like 130 people on board Discovery, sell this weapon to the Klingons, which is probably a war crime. But then at the end, instead of like reporting him to Starfleet security or, you know, having him arrested for like definitely attempted murder. It's like, no, we'll give you back to, you know, your wife and her father.
Oh no, they weren't married.
Oh, okay. Well, your you know, future wife. It's just like it's punishment enough for you to be with this woman. Forget prison. It's like that.
It wasn't necessarily about the woman, because she was just another con job to him. The thing is that he didn't expect is that she didn't care that he was a con man. And that was the problem. And so he had to get away from her. But the whole thing is that it's all about Daddy. Daddy can ruin him. Daddy can make or break him. Daddy can have him killed. So, yeah.
It's also very weird that I feel like they must be from some kind of like pre-Federation like colony world that's gone like very backwards. Because like they mention her dowry and he uses the phrase like make an honest woman of her. I was just like, I would hope that those things didn't exist in the 23rd century.
Maybe they found their way to Ferenginar.
Oh, maybe.
No, but then she wouldn't have clothes on.
Yeah, I was just thinking they were like Planet of the Regency reenactors or something.
Well, there are worlds that are not part of the Federation that may still have humans on them.
That are human colonies.
So, because Harry Mudd is not a fan of the Federation at all, and even less of a fan of Starfleet. And we see all of that in the previous episode. Anyway. So, yeah, I do enjoy that his sentence, so to speak, is trying to keep in Daddy's good graces so that he doesn't get killed in his sleep.
Okay. That's a better way to look at it. I prefer thinking about it that way.
There is a little point in that scene with him talking to Stella where he's trying to explain what he's been going through, etc., that sort of parallels what Burnham's going through in a way, but Burnham's trying to make and do things honest when he's just not. Because you also get to see Mudd on the right and Stella on the left, but Burnham smack bang in the middle of them. So sort of like explaining things, what's happened to Burnham, but in the opposite way to what Burnham's trying to do. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing that I didn't really notice the first time that I watched it. So, yeah. Good find there, Liam. Well done.
Good observation, sir.
Yes, well done, sir.
Oh, jolly good show.
Gold star for you, sir. Gold star.
He'd have $1 million from the festoon.
So sorry to all of our British listeners. Anyway. Cool. So, all right. I guess now it's time for our least favorite moment.
For me, it was the love thing.
Okay, that's fair.
But that's just me and my thing about love. So
you don't love love?
I just don't. I don't know. I get over it. I don't like songs being about it all the time. I don't like shows having it all on. And yeah,
well, it's the most deep connection that two humans can have.
I know. I just didn't like
I know.
it.
Just don't care. Don't care.
I care.
Screw love.
I care for about as much as Lorca loves his space fish.
Space fish.
Also, can we just quickly talk about the space fish? Space fish.
The spish?
The spish, yeah.
The spish.
How ugly is that whale? And I'm sorry, how can it go eating just basically helium nucleuses?
No.
Like, that's all it eats. Like, how is that even, like, nutritious? It doesn't have electrons.
Yes, well, it can also exist in space without a spacesuit. So how does it do that?
Yeah, and can be transported into like a 1 atmosphere, like full gravity environment without just imploding.
So that's actually a pretty strong organism right there, I think.
Yeah, okay. Can you imagine seeing the Gormagander explode?
Oh, no.
Oh, that'd be messy. Sorry, I think I'll make Brandi ill again.
So that was your least favorite moment. What about you, Liam?
I am Liam.
Guys, I think that it's obvious that I am not myself today. So my apologies. What about you, Nick?
Most of it.
Oh.
No, one moment.
All right.
The most you didn't like. The most moment.
Yeah, I think for me it is still the fact that they just sort of palmed him off to Stella and Daddy instead of actually arresting him and taking him to a Federation prison. It's just that even like you saying what you said, Brandi, makes sense to me, and I want to see it that way instead of like, oh, he is just this man who doesn't want to be tied down by being with this woman, which is the reading that I had of it before, and which I thought was like an oddly like regressive message for Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, I don't know. That's the bit that felt most out of place for me, because it's like, oh, it's wartime, and they're trying to make it seem like this is a very like, even though it's a more of a lighthearted episode, it's a serious show. And I'm like, why didn't they arrest him? I think in my notes I wrote down that that's the bit that felt kind of like very TOS to me, but not in a good way.
The only thing I can think of is that dude got out of a Klingon prison ship. How is Starfleet going to hold him?
Yeah, fair. Maybe they finally figured out that like the one person he's afraid of, because he could actually like keep him, honest and keep him a prisoner, is Baron Grimes. So, all right.
Yeah. That's just my thought. That's how I headcanon it. Okay. So my least favorite moment, and this is actually just a visual effects sort of thing, was the little purple balls that made people disintegrate.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry.
The ones that were supposed to be like super, super painful.
Super painful and actually weren't. But that's not what bothered me as much as how someone looked when they were being disintegrated. I mean, if your chest is gone, you're not still looking around and smiling at people or anything like that. You're dead at that point. Yep. Just the rest of your body is waiting to disintegrate. So that always bothered me about that episode. I'm like, if you're being eaten away from the inside out, you're going to be dead before it gets to your head, guys. You're not going to be, no, you're dead. You're dead by then.
You wouldn't see it also. If it's so, like, hurts upon impact or whatever, like it did to Tyler, then why would Burnham swallow it and you can see it going down her before it activates? Like,
because she's a badass.
Yeah, but also there are so many more than 823 ways to die in space.
That is true.
You could be, like, run over by a space whale. I bet that's not on the list.
Or swallowed by a space whale.
Why is it specifically a way to die in space? Does that just not work if you throw it at someone when you're on a planet?
Again, just the whole concept of it is weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the actual execution of it is the thing that bothered me the most. The execution of the execution.
Yeah.
Bothered me. So, all right. Well, I suppose it's time for, I think we've already expressed our questions and concerns, unless there's something else.
There is something else, yes.
Oh, of course there is.
Why would Stamets show him that he is the conduit for the spore drive?
It was part of the plan.
No, it wasn't.
It was part of the plan.
I think it was at that point.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Because he killed Tyler. And then he's like, no more. Showed him the fact that he's part of the spore drive. And then they're like, oh no. And so then Burnham has to go and kill herself. That was definitely not part of the plan.
Okay, right. You're correct.
No, I think that was the loop where he's like finally giving up. He's like, no, I have seen these people die too many times. You've just killed Tyler. I don't want to see anyone else die here.
But Tyler's going to be fine the next time round anyway. He's going to be back to that party looking hot as ever.
I think that might have been him sort of like giving up on it, because he's just like, all right, it's enough. I can't deal with, all of these loops anymore.
Because
here, it's me. I run it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was Burnham figuring out, no, we have one more reason to get him to like loop it again.
Yeah.
Which was her.
Yeah.
But if they didn't need to do that though to get him to loop it again, they just wouldn't have found out. But I mean, I do get what you mean by him saying that he's finally given up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think it was him finally giving up, and then later on, Burnham figures out that she can be sort of like the next piece in the puzzle. So by denying Mudd from being able to give her to the Klingons by killing herself, she is able to make him reset it one more time when they can actually do everything right.
Yep.
And also you're mad. I'm Mudd. That didn't hit the mark for me. But there are a lot of good one-liners in this show, and that was probably the worst one.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It's my final thoughts. I don't think I have any more to say than I've already said about this episode. So we'll just leave it at that. Anyone else have any final thoughts?
I do have one final thought. I know, Brandi, you're like, please just stop talking.
No. That is not what I'm thinking. Don't you ever think you know what I'm thinking.
My only final thought is that with the amount of times that Mudd has gone through that loop trying to perfect everything, it must be so annoying. To me, it's probably like, when you play Pokemon and you've got to start all over again and you've got to like battle a whole bunch of level 3 Rattatas and Bidoofs, just trying to get your way through it. Oh, it just reminded me of playing Pokemon Gold and trying to get all the way up to that house and then back again. And anyway, that was probably the most annoying thing for him. That's my final thought. I relate this episode and many other things in my life to Pokemon games.
Fair enough.
Do you have any final thoughts, Nick?
I think we've addressed most of them. It's a weird episode. Mudd is a thoroughly he's exactly the kind of character that I dislike, because he's exactly the kind of person that I dislike in real life, and I know people who are this full of themselves and this, wordy. So seeing one of them also being a criminal mastermind is upsetting.
That makes me have actually one final thought.
Sure.
Maybe he wasn't a criminal mastermind and it took him 1,000 loops just to figure out how to get onto the ship.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
1,000 loops.
Yeah.
Maybe he is a complete scrub that has just been like doing the same level over and over and over again to try and beat it, and then still fails. Maybe longer. We honestly do not know how many times that loop happened. So. But it's been fun talking about frustrating video games, but this is not the only thing we've been discussing on the network. So have a listen at some of the other things you may have missed elsewhere on Trek FM.
Oh, Brandi, I sounded like it was so desperate to get off.
Why? Was there more discussion to be had?
No, there wasn't. So. You were just like, quick, let's just start the end.
I just want to be done.
Oh, no.
I was a very, very smooth segue.
Yeah,
I think that worked perfectly.
You guys are jerks. Anyway.
Previously on Trek.fm, The Orb.
But of all the Section 31 that we're getting in New Trek, this feels the most legitimate. This feels like the Section 31 that we know from Deep Space Nine, and it doesn't feel like, we're just going back to the well again, because, even Ira said, I know they've used it in the movies, but we created this.
Earl Grey.
Still no clue. I'm going to kick myself when I get it.
Yeah, tell us, Jim.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
Gosh, of course.
I hate the universe.
Kirsten. My gosh, I knew that. What's wrong with us?
The best Lockdown performance in all 7 seasons, in my opinion.
Literary Treks.
If this were an episode of Voyager, and I actually think this book would make an interesting episode of Voyager, and like we kind of hinted at, maybe it's very much like an episode of Voyager that we'll talk about. I don't think it would have been called 7 of 9, right?
No, it would have to have like a one-word title to fit in with most of the other Voyager episodes, so you can't really remember which one it's about.
Yeah, it would just be called 7. That's what it would be.
To the journey!
She did actually mean what she said. back in the space just before they die. I don't know, I just kind of like it. It's just
I'm going to tell you I love you just before I die. Not a minute sooner.
It's like, at least I don't have to deal with the ramifications if I'm dead. Well, that backfired.
Or maybe she was just like, at least I don't have to hear him not say it if we're going to die.
So what you're saying is next time that we ask someone to marry them, or anyone who asks someone to marry them, they should do it on death's door of like some kind of crazy adventure. Like jumping off a bungee jump.
Yes, you're in the middle of being eaten by a shark or something.
I love you! Gobble, gobble, gobble.
And that's what else is happening on Trek.fm.
Check out all these shows and join the conversation about your favourite corner of the Star Trek universe and beyond. You'll find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you're an Apple user, be sure to hit the subscribe button in Apple Podcasts on iPhone, iPad or Apple TV or the desktop podcasts app to get the latest episodes as soon as they're published. And please leave us a star rating and written review. It helps us jump up the charts and find more listeners.
And if you're not an Apple user, we've got you covered as well. You can find our shows on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, in most third-party apps, and you can stream and download the MP3 file from our website or grab the RSS link.
Despite all evidence to the contrary, we would love to hear your thoughts on today's show, and there are so many ways for you to do that. The best place, of course, to join in the larger conversation is the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. If you don't know how to spell Babel, I'm not going to help you out here. I mean, really, come on. Just type that in the search field on Facebook and it should come up. Gosh, guys, how many times have I said this?
We had some pretty good feedback for our Edge 90, the episode where we made the USS Wadley Parry.
We did.
Didn't we?
We did.
We had some great
so good.
So glad you enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah.
Nick did point out on there that if anyone wants to make any like fan art of our weird characters, by all means go for it. We'll probably use it for the artwork for the next episode we do for the USS Wadley Parry.
Yes, please.
Be interesting to see what you guys come up with if you so choose to do so.
Oh man, I'm so excited.
I'm actually, I enjoyed that episode so much, and I am really looking forward to going back to that little pocket of the universe we created.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
If you'd like to send us an email, you can use the form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show and select the Edge. That'll go to Brandi. You can also find the network on Twitter at TrekFM and on Facebook at facebook.com/TrekFM. So Nick, when you're not getting Moya's daddy to solve everything for you, where can people find you when you're not on the internet?
He has solved all the problems that I've had with my car recently.
Oh, yay. Go daddy.
Where can you find me? You can find me on Twitter at punkzoologist, on Instagram at punkrockzoologist, and you will find me in the Babel Conference chatting and commenting on our episodes and anything new that tends to pop up. So, Brandi, when you're not constantly repeating the same level in the latest Star Trek-themed Dark Souls mod to hundreds and hundreds of times to try and finally beat it, where can people find you on the internet?
I would never spend that long trying to beat one area of a game. I would just give up. You can find me on Twitter at Brandywine12. You can find me here on the Edge. Maybe someday when Discovery is back, you will also find me on Live from the Edge. And you can also find me doing a live show right now, not right this second, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. You can come on over to YouTube and find the Kurt Ratz Productions YouTube channel and watch Dan and Bruce and I also do a live show about whatever the fans pick. So you can find that every Friday night, as I said, on YouTube at Kurt Ratz Productions. That is Dan's YouTube channel, and he is very gracious to invite us to be part of that show with him. So we enjoy it very much. I do a podcast with my husband Dave called The Dark Corner Podcast. We talk about nerdy stuff from a darker point of view. I also do a podcast by myself with myself called Headcanon, where I talk about whatever nerdy thing I want to, which last time was wrestling. Yes, it is a nerdy thing. It is.
It so is.
It
and
really
Yummy Guevara.
super is.
Or Yummy Guevara.
Oh, stop distracting me. And you can find both of those podcasts at darkcornerpodcast.com. So, Liam, when you're not so super busy hating love, where can people find you?
Sad.
Hey, you said it.
You can find me on Twitter at ls74656. I made 100 followers this morning.
Woo!
You can find me on To The Journey, the Star Trek Voyager podcast on the network here on Trek FM. I was also on Earl Grey this week's episode that comes out because we did an Earl Grey TTJ crossover. We spent 4 hours talking about the Borg. So that was an extraordinarily long, draining podcast. But yeah, you can also find me on the Babel Conference.
Sweet. Oh, sorry. That's me.
Line. Line.
And we would love to give a shout out to our wonderful Gormaganda conservation officers. Those are Norman Sealau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Paleo, Lisa Slack, Shoaib Mirza, Richard Rutledge, James Muldrow, Cornelia Reutner, Ryan Millett, and Chris Trabuzio. Thank you all for supporting The Edge and Trek FM via Patreon. And if you would like to become an associate producer of The Edge, or one of our other shows on Trek FM, and take part in our Patrons Roundtable, please visit patreon.com/TrekFM. And that's patreon.com/TrekFM.
Thank you all very much for listening, and join us next time to see what's happening on The Edge of Federation space.
Fortnite is another game I can't play because everything's going too fast for me.
Why would you want to play Fortnite?
I've never even tried Fortnite.
I've watched people play it, and I'm just like, so you just kill other people and take their stuff?
Pretty much, yeah.
I think I'm just, like, double the age group of who's supposed to be in Fortnite, at least.
Yeah, my 5-year-old niece plays it better than I do.
Really? Oh, God.
Except she plays it in playground mode. She doesn't kill people. She just goes around trying to find the llamas.
That's cute. I like that.
Adorable.